You're gonna learn how to use the nunchucks, the fundamentals of the martial arts training. Learn how to use nunchucks at home for beginners. It's very basic, very simple when you break it down to its components. The first thing you're gonna do is hold it right in the middle and you're cranking it forward. You're gonna get blood to flow into your wrist, into the arm, into the forearm, into the fingers. You're gonna keep everything safe from injury while you get stronger in your grip. This is gonna make you better at all martial arts. So any martial arts training, nunchucks might not be your favorite thing, but if you have them, I want you to know how to use them. Palm over, you're gonna spin forward. Then on the other hand, you love nunchucks like I do, use them. Learn how to use them to the fullest extent. Do everything you can. Hello, it's good to see you. Boom, welcome back. Palm up, spinning forward. Just gonna do this for a few seconds. Side to side, we call this an outer orbital because it's making an orbit around the outside of my head. Welcome back, thank you, Matthew. And then palm over. Yeah, I had to change my shirt, but I also had some interruption. I had to change the connection that we had for the reboot, the router, basically. Now I'm gonna come over and back. There was some skipping going on. So just remake the beginning. We're coming over and back. We're practicing this basic figure eight pattern. My hand is simply going down and back, down and back. You're gonna come across to both sides of the body. This is what it looks like from the side. We're gonna make a nice flowing motion. After you do that for about 30 seconds, put it in the other hand, palm facing the sky. You're gonna get blood to flow into there. Warm up this arm. Palm over, cross the body. Just from the side, just looks like that. Super simple. Bring it back, palm up, palm down. When you're learning the fundamentals of martial arts training, you always want to break things down to the smallest piece and master those small pieces. Hello, it's good to see you. Palm up and down, side to side, coming front and back. Hey, it's David in the UK. Hello, David. Trying not to smack the camera as much today. Yesterday, I hit it a bunch of times with the bow, the long martial arts staff. We'll try to give it a break today. And again, look at how I'm trying to turn my wrist in a way. Your hand stays closed. You're not ever gonna do this. You'll see some people do this on spinning, where they open the hand to try to make it go faster, but then you give up a lot of control. And the last thing you wanna do if you're defending yourself is hit something with an open hand because it comes flying out, and then what's the point of having it? Also, when you are practicing these spins with your nunchucks, remember, you're learning how to spin to develop spatial awareness, timing and distance, all kinds of great skills. Hello, Richard. Richard's in Tallahassee, just up the road. But you're not spinning in self-defense or for self-defense by itself. Spinning is an opportunity for your body to learn different skills with the nunchucks. But if you were to use this to fight with, you're gonna hold this here for self-defense. Hello, Doug, it's good to see you. Matthew is reminded of little steps. Yeah, Matthew says little steps, practice the basics. You would hold this here for self-defense. You would stand your ground. You would be ready. You wouldn't be spinning back and forth because they could time your spin. They could jump in, collapse it to your body, and then the spinning doesn't work. Boom says, Boom made a video on nunchucks. Boom, we'll go check that out on your channel later. You're holding this here, and you're gonna strike. And as you strike, you follow through. That's the first step of self-defense with the nunchucks, is the follow through. I get this question asked of me all the time. What happens when you hit and it bounces back? Well, if you do it right, it shouldn't hit and bounce back. You're not following through if it bounces back. The second reason that it bounces back is because you're hitting with this part and it has to bounce back instead of just the tip. This is a slicing or slashing weapon, sort of like a bladed weapon, a machete or a knife or a short sword. And so you would slice, you would strike with just this portion here. And if you did hit something and it caused it to bounce back or recoil, it's gonna come back to here. See where my hand is? If you have a self-defense pair of nunchucks like this, you'll have the longer string or the longer chain. If it's shorter, that's only for demonstration, that's for competition. Those are called speed chucks. This is a self-defense chuck. This is the old style. So the chain or the string is longer. Back to the spin. So we did the figure eight on both sides. I'm gonna bring it back into my right hand and I'm gonna pull it back because I wanna do a reverse figure eight. I want you to be able to do everything forward and reverse. And the reverse is simply, you can see, I isolate the motion, I make it very small. I'm just pulling back. If you like working with martial arts weapons, if you like learning the fundamentals of martial arts, if you like training with nunchucks, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the comment section below so we can grow our online virtual dojo. I'm pulling it back toward me, and then I'm gonna turn it over, palm faces the ground, same basic format that I did when I was going forward. And then I go up and down, and I have my figure eight. And again, from the side, I wanna try to move in a way that I get maximum flexibility in the wrist. And if you don't have maximum flexibility in your wrist yet, you'll get there. Just remember, it's three things: mobility, flexibility, and strength. When you first start with almost any martial arts weapon, you have to understand you might not be able to move in the same exact way that somebody else is because you're lacking in mobility or strength or flexibility or all three. And the exciting part is you'll get it. As long as you keep moving, you're gonna increase mobility, flexibility, and strength. Just don't quit. As long as you don't quit, you'll get where you wanna go. So you're going over and back and forward, and now we're in the reverse. So I'm pulling it side to side, trying to get it to look as much like a stick as I can. From here, I put it into the other hand, and I start with that simple reverse orbital, the outside of the body, bring it over, orbital, reverse orbital on the inside. Do that a couple times, palm up, palm down. That one almost bit me. I was trying to read Matthew's comment. Yeah, flexibility with flexibility comes, or with practice comes flexibility, Matthew says. Amen, that's the truth. You're gonna have to earn it. You will not earn your flexibility, your strength, your dexterity, your mobility by thinking about it, by talking about it, by researching it, right? By watching other people do it. Watch a little and then practice a lot. Read a little and then practice a lot. So we're doing the reverse, figure eight from side to side. And I can see on this side, my left side, I'm really tight. This week we did a lot of animal walks again. Added some new ones, the inchworm and bear crawls, doing the crab walks. The point is, doing a lot of stuff on my hands with my body weight, which is substantial, and my wrist's tight. So I feel it when I spin. But that's the great thing about the fundamentals of the martial arts. When you practice the fundamentals of martial arts, you always are improving those basic skills of flexibility, dexterity, mobility, strength, speed, balance, coordination, all that. Now, I've done my basic figure eight, basic orbitals. I want to come to the front and the back of the upper arm. Coming to the front of the back, a lot of tricks are gonna come off of bouncing it here or bouncing it here. So you're just gonna practice going front and back. Yeah, Matthew says you've gotta knock yourself a bunch of times in the head. And that's how you develop your skill. Now, when I bring it under, I'm gonna pinch it. And this comes from, you see Bruce Lee does these all the time in the movies, or did. You bring it under, pinch it, and then you release that tension from squeezing or pinching, and then it comes out as a very fast, powerful strike. So learn this basic skill or trick to the front and the back as you're practicing learning how to use nunchucks for beginners. Learn some cool motions that you've seen in the movies. Bruce Lee does it. Mighty Guy from Naruto does it. Rock Lee, if you're a Naruto fan. Now I'm going side to side. We're gonna go back to the upper arm thing in a minute, but I wanted to show you how to get to the other side in a fancier way so that when you come over here and start doing this, you're able to do that in a cool way, right? So all I'm doing is pulling my hand straight up. The forearm is now perpendicular to the ground, like a tree growing out of the ground. My wrist turns down, thumb down. My hand comes directly in front of the body, in front of the golden tiger here. Grab it, let this one go, whip it back to this side. Now the key is to not hitting yourself, is don't point the stick at your head. If you don't point your chucks at your head, you're not gonna hit your head. Point them at the ground, and then it'll go down, reach in front of the body, pull it to the side, going side to side. When you get it over here, do the front and the back, pinch it, pop it, and then throw it to the other side. Now you can practice some combinations, a couple of different, if you miss it, just grab it again, pop it, add some orbitals in this front and back, just pinch and bring it back. Now, another way to use the orbitals are going to be in the basic strikes. The first strike I want you to practice, and again, like I said earlier, if you hold it here, Mountain says, finally caught live, woohoo, thanks for being here. Appreciate your being here on this live. Remember, you're going to strike with the tip. This part here is going to slice and cut. You're going to hold at the very end. You'll have the longer string or chain if you're using self-defense chucks, and you're going to follow through on your strikes. That's the fundamentals. Those are the basics. We just talked about the fundamentals of striking with your chucks. So I'm going down. That's a vertical strike. Think on the top of the head. Think of someone punching or stabbing or grabbing or poking you. You're going to smash their hand. You're just coming straight down. Or you can come up under the chin, into the groin, into their body, their hands coming forward with a knife. You can smack it out of their hand, theoretically. David asked for blocking. Yes, David, I'll show you some blocking. When I come up, notice that I turn, I did an orbital here, and I face my palm up as I come back. So I go straight down, and if I want to do a deflecting block, I turn my palm up. So down, up. You can add an orbital spin as you go down, and that adds some dynamic volume to your combination. You can spin a couple times or more down. You can spin a bunch of times up to develop flexibility in your wrist and get better proprioception or handling of the chucks. A lot of times this outer orbital is a way to go between moves if you are trying to do different combinations and you're going into different tricks and routines, and then you're not sure what to do. You come out to an orbital for a couple times and then give your brain a second to pick something else to do. But that's the value of the orbital. So you want to practice a lot of orbitals. Now, going down, and again, if you like working with nunchucks, you like weapons, you like learning the fundamentals of martial arts, please give me a thumbs up. You're going to go straight down. You're going to go across the body in an angle or diagonal strike, and you're going to come across and back in a horizontal strike. And notice that when I come across the body, my palm is facing the sky. And the reason for that is when I run into resistance with a stick, if I'm doing like Kali, Salat, Arnis, Strima, any kind of stick or sword, if my palm is up, it's going to run into my hand. It's not going to come out. If your palm is down as you're coming across, you're just going to peel it. It's going to come right out of your hand. So always learn, come across the body, palm up, and then the opposite is true for the same reason. When you come across and you run into resistance, it goes into the web of your hand. If your hand were up and you come into resistance, peels it right out. So you're going to lose your weapon. So palm up, palm down. So from here, you're going to go across, over, up. 1, 2, 3. You're just making a right triangle. All right, we'll call this the Bruce Lee triangle. And again, if you're a big Naruto fan, if you even know what that is, some of you do, some of you love Naruto, and you know that character Mighty Guy or Rock Lee, and they work with the nunchucks or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's always been a mouthful for me. Teenage Mutant, TMNT, those guys, whichever one it is, I don't always remember. The nunchuck guy, Donatello. Everybody does the same 1, 2, 3. And they do it, you can do it in different ways. If you're holding here, remember, this is the way you fight for self-defense. Then it's big motion, and the spin comes out here in space and up your shoulder. If you were to hold it more here, because you're doing more tricks, you hold it here for more tricks, then you'd keep it closer to the body. And the transition comes here, you're really wrapping it. See how I wrap it on my shoulder? And then I wrap it across my back, and then I wrap it up. So you're using your body to Michelangelo, Matthew says, Michelangelo's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, that uses the nunchuck. Now there's one more way you can hold it since I brought it up, and it's right here. This is for speed. So maximum speed by the string or chain, maximum control for tricking and different kinds of acrobatics you might do, throw and catch. You're gonna hold more in the middle, and then purely for self-defense, you're not moving. You're waiting for them to come in, and then you strike. You're not gonna do any fancy moves for self-defense. And you're gonna know how to strike. You're gonna practice correctly. And practice striking against something. If you're worried about it hitting something and bouncing back, it's often the way that you're striking with it. You're hitting the wrong way. So practice striking with just the tip, hold here, and follow through. Follow through. All right, so we have this triangle. I'm gonna throw it into the other hand and do the triangle, and then you can just go from hand to hand. Practice your flow, get really super smooth. Bring it over. If you want, you can come over, do a couple orbitals, and then orbital, throw it in, bring it over, do some figure eights, bring it back out into an orbital, do a triangle, switch hands, figure eight, got what I was doing, figure eight, some orbitals, some Bruce Lee armpit action, bring it out, couple of, see how I bring that up? Spin it down, spin it up. Changing levels is always interesting to the eye to watch. So a lot of these tricks that you're learning are interesting to watch for somebody who's watching you, but you don't want to be stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again. So you have to have a lot of basic skills. Now I want to talk about the wrist roll because I've showed, let's review first though. You have orbital, that's your first skill. Figure eight, that's your second skill. Upper arm, the arm bounce, that's your third skill. The armpit squeeze, whatever you want to call it, I call that the chicken wing. That's the fourth skill. Pop, that's the fifth skill. And then, Matthew says very fluid. Then what do we do? Hand to hand, underhand. We're coming in reverse. That's your sixth skill. If you reverse that and go forward, that's the same skill. That's why most people don't like to do it, because you hit yourself more often. But that's the same skill, just in reverse. And then you can bring it around the back of your neck. So you bring it out, bring it here, bring it around the back of your neck. We'll call that the seventh skill, eighth skill, or whatever. Hello to Saskatchewan. I think that's what I saw. It popped off real fast. But see where my hand is? This open palm is the key. When you go around your neck, almost everybody I train with, I stop them mid-swing because they put their hand here. And if you put your hand palm against your face, same side, right hand, right cheek, you're gonna hit yourself on the other side. And these have been known to loosen your teeth, or at least bust your gums, or make your teeth sore. So don't do that. Yeah, Doug said, as you teach more advanced techniques, can you show chuck retention? Yes, we will get into chuck retention. I don't know about this video, but we definitely will. So I come across, I've got it here. Matthew says he's never done that. That's good. There's no reason to learn, right? No reason to learn the hard way if you don't have to. You just practice across the body. Just go slow at first, so you can double, triple check your hand is on the opposite side and it's the back of the hand. And then the other thing is, if you see if I can still see me, yeah. If you point your hand down, you're gonna hit your shoulder blades, which hurt, especially with these. Oh, Matthew says behind the neck is all new. David says, thank you for time and knowledge. Yes, you're welcome, my pleasure. Mountain says, recommend headgear for the advanced stuff at the beginning. And I'm not gonna disagree with you, but I'm just gonna say, I think you're gonna learn faster when you smack yourself in the head and it hurts and it stings for a little bit. And every time you wash your hair for the next couple of weeks, you feel that lump in there. You're not gonna do that again. You don't have to, but I think it's like the faster you can get past the idea that you're gonna hit yourself and it's gonna kill you. It's not, right? It does hurt though. I'm hitting my shoulder blade a little bit here as I try to go too slowly to show it. But that's true. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sick like that. I like the immediate feedback. The pain helps you to learn. I don't think that's sickness. I think that's old school, right? We'll call that old school. Old school chucks, old school lumps on your head. I forget whether the count was, we were 7 or 8 or whatever. We had, the Bruce Lee triangle. And I think that's all the review we need to do. And then I want to get into a wrist roll, but first, because David in the UK asked, Doug says, best diameter to train with. Most of them, I think, Doug, are about an inch, although you'll see those big old-fashioned ones that are big, thick. These things really hurt. Those you might really want a headgear with because the wood is so thick, and it's that hard wood that those will brain you a little bit. But most modern chucks you'll see are, most of the ones you make yourself, just, get a 1-inch dowel rod, cut it, drill a hole, loop your, make it, what's that, about, I don't know, 6 inches string. And then if you were to use wood, you'd drill a hole right there and you'd loop it back and forth and loop it 3 times with some thin string, not too thin. You want a nice, strong enough string it's not gonna snap and go flying across the room. But about an inch, I think, is really good. Bruce Lee triangle is cool. Thank you for that, Glenn says, yes. But Dave in the UK asked about blocking. So let's talk about blocking real quick. When you hold 2 hands, there's many ways to block. Let me show you the most basic, fundamental way that most people miss, because this is super awesome. Nylon cord, Matthew says, yes, perfect option. If you hold it here, you block the same way you would with a tanbo, which is the shorter stick, or Doug, a tongbong, the Korean short stick. So you turn your hand in, there's blocking here, block up, block down, the same way you would with a fighting fan. We haven't done fighting fan for a while. Let's do that on the next video, since I just reminded myself. I gotta find it. It's in the box in the back. But I love doing Kung Fu fan, but because it's just a stick. So there's basic blocking here and here, block up, block down. Then you have deflecting strikes. Deflecting strikes are in the category of blocks where the punch or the knife is coming in, or a weapon, and you're gonna smack it up and you're gonna come out of the way, right? And those are actually, coming down is never as fast as coming up. It's just the way your body's made. When you pull up, you hit so much harder and faster when you pull up this way than when you are going down. So these are all deflecting blocks. And then if you were to, you'll see a lot of people will practice this motion, and the goal is to keep tension. Keep tension, so you're pulling your chucks away the whole time you're going through this. This is great for your forearms, by the way, and your shoulders. But this is behind the back. Think block up, block down, block to the side, block to the other side. Just remember, get your fist above your head. When you're blocking with any kind of weapon, you don't want to block like this because then you can't see it, but you always block here. But then also, let me see, I don't have any swords right here. I do have the rattan cane. I haven't used this one in a while. But if I were to catch, if you were to block up and they came down with the weapon, you would then wrap your chuck around it. You wouldn't want to cut your arm off if that were a blade, but you wrap around this, and then you can use that as kind of a pair of vice grips. And you can feel, if you just start cranking down there, let's say that's their hand. They throw a punch, and you put that around there. If I had 3 hands, I'd show you, but you crank that down on those bones, Doug, who's that, David, in the UK? That'll break that bone. That's so much force, So blocking up, blocking down, to the side, and when you can, wrap around it, pulling the weapon out of their hand, breaking the blade even. You can snap the blade in half with the right kind of chucks. This is that aircraft grade aluminum. These come from Combative, KOMBATIV.com. Combative, and I don't have any relationship with them. There's no affiliate link or anything. I keep asking them, and I never get a good response. But anyway, I never get a response. I don't know. They say, yeah, sure, on the phone, and then they never do anything about it. But anyway, thanks, Doug. Thanks for that comment. All of the blocking motions, just think about pushing and then keeping your hands pulled apart at the same time. Yeah, so using the chucks to catch, Matthew says. So blocking up, blocking down, blocking to the side, and then wrapping, pulling. Those are more blocks that you can do. The other kind of blocks are deflecting strikes, and then just with your hand on the chuck, blocking this way. And here's another one before we get into the wrist roll, because we're going to finish with that, is I want you to practice closing it two ways first. One is with your palm facing the sky, swing it in, and as it's coming in, you simply open your fingers, come in, and close it. Now that seems so super simple. And I know it is simple, but my experience has been that's elusive for a lot of people at first, because when it comes in, if your timing's off, you just bash your fingers. Then you're gonna learn, right? But practice this. Practice opening your hand as it comes in. Expect to drop it a lot. And then if you see what I'm doing, let's say this is Chuck A, that's Chuck B. This is Chuck Norris, that's Chuck the Truck. I swing Chuck the Truck in, catch him, and then I drop Chuck Norris. I swing Chuck Norris in, and then I drop Chuck the Truck. So I'm constantly changing which hand. Yeah, this does take practice, Matthew says. The other way is starting here. You're gonna let it just kind of swing away and catch it. Swing away and catch it. Swing away, catch it. Hello, Justin. It's good to see you. Yeah, Justin says wrist roll with the chucks. The technique you've been trying to get. All right, and then so you start here, bring it out, bring it in, bring it out, bring it in, and then start back here, and then bring it forward and close it. Bring it forward and close it. And you can see, because they're different heights, right? You have to get a feel for it, and eventually you'll be able to catch it, and they'll be like that as you create tension. It's been a while since I've done it, but you'll get there. You'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do it better than I can. So practice both this way and practice push it away, pull it in, push it away, pull it in, and then start here and close it, here and close it. So then the next time you're doing some cool freestyle and you finish, and you come forward and you're like this, and you're like, wow, and you're all Bruce Lee, and you can finish it with it in your hand, and you don't have to go like that. So, because that just took away all the coolness out of it, right? All right, wrist roll. Let's do the wrist roll. Mafia Gaming asks for real strikes. Let me do this. Let me get you started on the wrist roll, and then I'll roll in a bag, and I'll show you some real strikes. From here, I'm going to bring it in, so figure eight. I bring it to the opposite side of the body. Turn the hand up. Open the hand, turn it. So I was here, now I'm here. I was here, now I'm here. I missed that one. Doug, if you could ask me that again. Here, here, and then from here, I'm going to continue with the spin, and now I'm in what's called a negative grip. So this is also known as a hammer grip. This is known as an ice pick, right? If you're using knives. So it's either hammer or ice pick. Usually you hold it in the hammer here, and then you go into the hammer where it's coming. I guess it's both the hammer, right? You see what I'm talking about. All right, now I go back out into self-injury. I go back out into my figure eight, but I'm in this reverse grip, but it's still a forward spin. And then I'm over here on the same side of the body, right hand, right side, and I turn it up, open, my hand turns, and I take the other one, grab Chuck the Truck, that was Chuck Norris, and back into the figure eight. So I go here, and then I'm out here. And then you drop it. And every time you drop it, you pick it up. Now, depending on how long your chain or string is, your hand will have to be in how big your hand is and how good your experience is, how much experience you have. Your hand or your skill, all that stuff. Your hand's going to move in different places. So from here, with these chucks, I find that I naturally come down to about here on the inside, and then I'm spinning. And as I'm spinning, I don't know if you can see it, but my hand's just slowly coming down here because I know I'm going to spin it again around my hand. I'm going to wrist roll. So now I got to about here, and then I'm back into here. So after a while, as you're moving, just like with all the other weapons that you spin, your hand will naturally start to move in different places, and it might be here, then it's here, then it's here, and it's here, depending on where it's supposed to be. Yeah, speed chucks, Justin says speed chucks are easier to get the wrist roll by 1,000%. And if I had the speed chucks right here, I would show you how dramatically easy they are. I have a lot of videos with the speed chucks earlier in this channel, like from a couple years ago. And you can see, I mean, it's night and day. But that's what speed chucks are for. Speed chucks are for speed, and they're for doing all those tricks really fast. But somebody who's really good, way better than I, can do everything with this and make it look like magic too. So you can do everything with this and make it look like magic. All right, let me roll in the bag. I won't use the brand new bag. I don't want to cut it. I don't want to cut this one either, but it's got a tougher cover, I think. It's heavier too, I know that. All right, so let's say that's his face. That's the bad guy. I don't know what he did to me, but he shouldn't have done it, right? I told him to stop. He wouldn't stop. Somehow I have my chucks. So if I am holding here and I strike like that, this is the biggest fear everybody has. They comment on it all the time. That is a garbage weapon. That's trash weapon. You can't use that weapon. Nunchucks are no good. Nunchucks stink because when you hit yourself worse than you hit the other person because it bounces back. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it hurts you worse than it hurts him. I think if you hit him in the head anyway, and he comes back and smacks your hand, it's gonna hurt his head worse than your hand. So that first argument is stupid on the face of it, just from that perspective. However, if you're hitting like this, you're not using it right. Again, you're gonna hold here, at the very end, for maximum leverage because it's self-defense. And then when you hit him and it comes back, you're gonna hit him harder, and it's still the same argument. Yeah, it hurts you when it bounces back a little bit, but it hurts him 1,000 times worse. Then you're gonna take it to the next step, which is more proper. Let me move the camera again. More proper technique. And instead of hitting with this bar of, you're not hitting with the whole side of the chuck. You're hitting with this. And that's gonna slice, right? You're just using that tip. So when you do strike, you're hitting now with the tip and you're following through. This is hitting and stopping. See how it came back and almost hit my hand? The only reason it didn't was because I had it at an angle. If I have it straight, this is where I have to hit myself. There we go. It just busted my knuckles. So if I follow through and notice that my hand turns over and then it stops back here as I wrap it around my back, now I'm not gonna hit myself. I'm not gonna hit myself. It's going through. Glenn says, I hit myself lightly, seen stars. Of course, it's gonna go down. Yes, that's good. That's good feedback, Glenn. But when you hit with the tip and you follow through, two reasons you're not hitting yourself. One is you're following through, and as it's striking with the very tip, you're pulling it on by. And two, as it does bounce back, because this chain is now fully extended and it comes back because it's this kind of chuck, it's a self-defense chuck, your hand is here. And look, that's how much you have left. That's where your hand is. You're not hitting yourself. So learn how to properly, I gotta pick this up, hold on. He just jumped off the wall at me. Learn how to properly strike and follow through using just the tip. Now that's a horizontal strike. The next one is a diagonal strike. The same thing is true. Hold it here, hit with the very tip, maximum leverage. This is a slicing weapon, it's not a flail. I've seen this described as a flail, like you're supposed to bash things with it. You're not bashing with the chuck. The chuck is a very unique, special, cool weapon that you're hitting with just the very, very tip. Yes, these are the types of strike. You have this horizontal, you have diagonal strike, and then you have both coming up and down. Now, when you come up, don't aim that at your head. You're gonna hit yourself. Mafia Gaming, we're talking about the kinds of strikes. So come down, straight on top. Let's say this is the top of his head. Same thing, if I hit here, and I use the big part of the chuck, and I hit, it has to come back and hit my hand. But that's not how you're supposed to strike. You're supposed to hit with the tip. So from here, strike and follow through. Strike and follow through. Remember, when you hit, you're also pulling down all the way through for maximum speed, power, explosiveness. And when you strike and you pull it all the way through, you're pulling it in a way that it doesn't allow it to come back and hit you. And even if it did, because this is taut, that's fully extended, it hits that. So I hope that clears up the striking issue, the biggest fear everybody has or complaint, and it's just uneducated. And I'm not saying you're uneducated or anybody who says it is. Well, I guess if you say it, you just don't know yet. And it's not your fault, because there are a million experts on the internet and in the martial arts schools, and a lot of us are not right. Doug asked, do you twist like you are with the PR24? You can, or you don't have to. There are different ways to strike. I think that when you twist, you can increase speed. I think when you don't twist, you increase the power of the strike. And I don't know how to describe it other than that until you try it, Doug, and then maybe you'll have a better way to describe it. But do that with your chucks. Practice the wrist rolls. Again, the wrist roll is open and closed. And then, last technique, I really want you to learn this. It's one of my favorite techniques, and it takes a while. I'm going to change the camera angle. You make a circle. This is my right hand. I'm going clockwise on an old-fashioned clock, on an analog clock. From here, I'm going to let it go up here around 10, 11 o'clock. As I do, it's going to spin in the air because it's basically a stick. So from here, it's going to spin. As it spins in the air, I'm going to open my hand. I'm going to let it do one full rotation, and then I'm going to catch it with my palm facing down. So I let it go here. My palm is facing down. It spins. It comes back down. My hand comes back on it here at about 1 or 2 o'clock. And later, you'll get this down, and you'll throw it down here, and you'll catch it down here, and you won't have to worry about 10 and 2 or 11 and 1 or whatever, because none of that will matter so much, because you'll just you'll get better and better and better. When you do it in the left hand, you go counterclockwise. So now you're letting it go at 2, make a spin, catch it at 1. That's step 1. Step 2, you're going to bring it around clockwise in the right hand, let it go, and you catch it. And when you don't catch it, pick it up. Doug, that's the other benefit of using a 1-inch diameter. You can pick it up with your toes easier. Mafia Gaming asks, what's more important, freestyle or strikes? They are two completely different things. Think of it this way, Mafia Gaming. If you were a boxer, what's more important? Jumping rope to condition the legs, condition the heart and lungs, develop your footwork, your timing and distance, or punching the heavy bag. And not that one, that's not a heavy bag, that's a floor bag. The one that swings, that gives you wicked power, or the speed bag, or mitt work with your coach, or practicing with a partner, getting hit and learning how to move. They're all different techniques. Learn all of them. So they're totally different. But a boxer doesn't go in the ring and fight with a jump rope. You're not gonna go for self-defense and fight with throw and catch or any other trick. You're going to go in there, you're gonna have it like this, you're gonna go like this, and then it's self-defense, that's it. So two different, totally different things, apples and oranges, but they're both fruit and they both taste delicious in a fruit salad. All right, so you're going in the circle, let it go, catch it, palm facing up in the left hand, reverse the circle, let it go, catch it with the right, reverse the circle, catch it with the left, reverse the circle, catch it with the right. Remember that it has to do a full turn first, then figure 8, let it go on the left side when it's in the right hand, catch it with the left. Then figure eight, left foot forward, let it go, catch it, let it go, catch it. After a while, get really good so you don't have to look at it when you catch it, but you're gonna do it again and again and again. You guys have been awesome. I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you.